Hello and welcome to another episode of Casual Learning. I'm your host, John Bannan. What is vocational relationship building? So I'm going to give you a secret that many people live by, and you may be surprised that this is true. But here it is. Some people believe that success in life is determined by personal relationship building. The depth and scope of your personal relationships is what life is all about. It's what gives life meaning and purpose. So, these people believe success is personal relationship building. So, to these people, all of life is about who you know, not what you know. And the more people you know, and the greater the depths of your relationships with these people that you know, this network um, of personal relationships, I guess makes you feel better about yourself, gives you a sense and purpose of being alive or being a human being. Um, and that's what they live for. They live for this. This is what keeps them motivated, keeps them alive, feeling as if they're successful human beings. Now, I just did a video on what actual success is, and success is not personal relationship building. Success is actually how well you spend your time, and that's because time is the most valuable possession you have. Um, and indeed, if you look at it objectively, the only three purposes in life come to us from evolution and from God. And those would be to survive, to reproduce, and to go to heaven. So survival and reproduction is the core concept of evolution, and Jesus Christ and God promises eternal life, or to go to heaven if you get it. So those are the only real three objective purposes to life. After all, a purpose to life has to be given to you by a creator. And the only creators of human beings are arguably evolution and God. So only those things could give you purpose and meaning. However, these people apparently haven't watched my video and don't understand this. So they believe success is all about personal relationships. Now, uh, this is a extremely valuable tool and technique for ladder climbing or professional advancement. If you truly believe that success in life is dictated by your personal relationships with people, then you're going to be awfully hard to compete against or beat when it comes to climbing the ladder or schmoozing clients, or getting personal favors from people in positions of authority. So these people are great ladder climbers. Um, they're very, very difficult to beat. If a person is solely consumed with personal relationships and basically politics, uh, and they're going to be able to get jobs or positions of authority through pure personal relationships that you won't be able to get because you don't have that personal relationship. So this sort of mindset of vocational relationship building really explains why you will find a lot of incompetent people in positions of authority, because they got into that position because of who they knew, not what they knew. That's why they're incompetent, because they don't know anything. But they got into that position because of who they knew. They knew the person who could get them into that position, or they knew somebody who knew that person. was able to get them in that position. So this creates a great deal of incompetence in our in our our government or political system. But nonetheless, it is an extraordinarily powerful technique. And if you truly believe that this is the meaning of success and purpose in your life, you'll be obsessed with personal relationship building, and you'll be unbeatable in terms of ladder climbing. So it's important to know that these people exist and what they're doing and how it is that they're moving up the ladder and you're not, because they're delusional, but very powerful delusion. Now, there's a lot of these sorts of people, a lot. And the biggest mistake people make is they assume other people think like that. And a lot of these people assume that you think like them, even though you may not. So they assume you're thinking the same way they are, that uh, vocational relationship building is what you should be doing in life. And instead of thinking about what is truly important in life and how to spend your time successfully, they think you're thinking about this. So they assume it, and they assume wrong, but that's because people have a difficult time getting out of their own heads, and they don't think that other people may not think like them or agree with what they think. Um, but you can't fix that problem. That's always the case. So the how do they how does this work? Well, they're genuinely interested in developing personal relationships with other people, and usually it's people with some sort of authority or some sort of benefit that could possibly come to them. It's not just homeless people on the street. They're not. These people aren't making deep personal relationships with homeless people on the street. No, they're not. They're making it with potentially influential people. Those are the people they're interested in. So it's not exactly a bean counter sort of philosophy where I'm keeping a tab on what I've done for you and you're keeping a tab on what you've done for me. It's sort of this sort of a joint understanding that success is defined by personal relationships, and the more personal relationships you have, the more successful you are. So that's sort of the payback for everybody. So what you'll see is these people will be doing each other favors constantly. And it's just because they're in this personal relationship vocation. And they don't really ask for anything in return. It's just this mutual understanding that this is success in life. And it gives them each sort of a high, as to that they're being a successful human being. And they're in this relationship, this network, this greater network of people who know each other. Um, so they do each other's favors constantly. So you don't have to bribe them or offer them something monetary in return for a favor. You simply ask, and they'll feel obliged because that's how they define success. This is how they further their personal relationships and how they build things and how they define success. The amount that you can help other people in your network of relationships is a measure to them of how successful they are. So they don't mind doing it. So you get a situation where the network is helping each other out because they all have this similar vocational mindset. Um, there is some major problems with this entire vocational relationship building mindset, and that is that not everybody does this or agrees with this or even knows that this is what you're doing. No idea. Then these people seem to be clueless about that fact, but it's true. So you'll hear people like this say things like, they may quote General George S. Patton. Success is how high you bounce when you hit bottom. Now, does that make any sense at all? Well, seemingly no, it doesn't make any sense at all, because if you hit bottom, you're probably dead or severely injured. And I mean, why would you bounce? It sounds like you'd be hurt, right? So, how does this even make sense? Well, the idea is that you have built up this essentially the safety net of personal relationships and this network, so that if you fall, you hit this net of people who save you. Essentially, they get you a new job or get you a new position or help you out some way, so that your life doesn't completely fall apart. And this safety net, you hit it and it propels you back up. Whoosh. And the stronger and bigger this safety net is, this network of personal relationships, the higher you go up and bounce after falling. So that's what this means. It assumes that you are a vocational personal relationship builder. Otherwise, this makes zero sense. Um, a consequence of this sort of mindset and the assumption that everybody thinks the same way, which is a false assumption, but nonetheless, these people, a lot of them seem to think everybody thinks the way they do, is a lot of harm can be done to people who don't understand what's going on here, or don't agree with this philosophy at all. Um, but nonetheless, these people assume everybody thinks like them, and they'll do very evil and nasty things under the assumption that you have this safety net of personal relationships that'll propel you forward or propel you back up. Uh, so, for instance, you could be on the top of a skyscraper, and one of these people thinks, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to push you off that skyscraper." Now, ordinarily, that would be considered a terrible betrayal and, frankly, a murder, really. But these people don't see it that way because they think you've got this safety net down here. Not only do they think you have this safety net, they also assume that you know it's there and that you're going to use it. Big assumptions, but these people assume wrongly a lot. So, what they might do is purposely throw you off the building. Now, if you're not aware of the safety net, or if you're not planning to use it because you're not one of these people, you may miss the safety net completely and end up badly injured and betrayed by the person who threw you off the skyscraper. Well, this idiot up here doesn't understand that you don't understand what they're doing. They never bothered to ask or to tell you about their whole vocational relationship building belief system. So you may end up dead. But hopefully, you're one of these people who understands what the hell they're doing. So you come down, you hit the safety net, and then you bounce back up. And then maybe you land on an even higher building. So that's the theory. So these psychopaths who throw people off buildings believe that this is probably for your own good because you're going to land on your safety net of personal relationships, and it will propel you to a higher building in which you'll land on, and that's how you climb the ladder. So they may actually, these people who throw you off buildings may actually think they're doing you a favor. All under the false assumption that you know what the heck they're talking about. They may even be quite evil in throwing you off this building and trying to motivate you to jump. It can be very nasty. These people can be very evil if you don't understand what's going on in your mind. And chances are you don't because they never bothered to tell you. But that's why you're watching this video. I'm explaining to you what's going on in the psychopath's mind as to what they're doing to you. So be aware of that. Some of these people tend to think that pushing somebody off a skyscraper is for their own good because they're going to bounce back to a higher level, and it's really for their benefit. And in the long run, they'll see the wisdom of that. But that assumes this person, this poor fool, knows what they're doing and doesn't land over here and smashes their face on the ground. So in fact, these people are so ill-informed about others that if they throw you off a building and let's say you hit the ground and die instead of, this is a dead cat bounce, instead of hitting the safety net, they'll blame you. They'll say something like, well, you didn't bounce because you must be depressed, or, you have some sort of mental problem or something like that. Not realizing you have no idea what they're planning and why they're doing it because they didn't tell you. So these people are a lot of fun to deal with. So it's important, really important, to know how they're thinking. That this is what they believe life is all about. They really do. These people are often politicians. They're great politicians because they're always building these personal relationships. They're schmoozers, marketers, networkers, salespeople. So you're definitely going to run into these sorts of people in business, no doubt about it. And they're also ladder climbers. Ladder climbers all seem to be following this vocational relationship building idea. Very important to understand this. So I hope you learned something. If you weren't aware of this whole vocational relationship building concept, now you are. It's a very important thing to understand about some people because they're not going to explain it to you. They're not going to tell you that that's what they're thinking. And worse yet, they're going to assume that you think the same way. Not true. Not true at all. Success is not measured by personal relationships. It's measured by how well you spend your time on survival, reproduction, and going to heaven. It's certain successes. Are you a good person? Are you somebody that God is going to give eternal life to in heaven to? A lot of these people are atheists or non-believers. They don't believe in God, so they don't think in those terms. They don't think in terms of eternal life, for instance. And as far as evolution, they may have no idea what evolution really is. So, and they may they may have never heard what I just told you about what success truly is. They may have no idea. So you're talking about it can be very ignorant people, not well educated, and irreligious or non-religious, non-believers and atheists. But there's a lot of them, especially in the business world. So important to know about this. And it's great to know about this before somebody throws you off a building without you understanding why they're doing it. Because this is going to hurt. In fact, this sort of betrayal is really the worst psychological damage that you could cause to somebody. These people are real psychopaths. So watch out and take care.